It was supposed to be a night that brought us closer. Something intimate, joyful, just family, a few close friends, good food, soft music. A warm pause in our otherwise hectic lives. I wanted to create something meaningful, something to remind him, and maybe myself, that we were still in this together. My husband, Daniel, had been stretched thin for months. Work consumed him. He came home late more often than not, barely speaking, barely eating. He looked worn down. I missed him, not just the presence of his body in the room, but the spirit of the man I married. The spark in his eyes, the quiet jokes under his breath. I thought maybe this evening would help bring some of that back. The house glowed with low amber lighting. Candles flickered gently on tabletops. Soft jazz floated through the rooms. There was wine, laughter, little groups forming and shifting. My sister helped me in the kitchen. Friends passed around plates and old stories like they always had. For a little while, everything felt light again. Easy. Daniel kept mostly to the sidelines. He offered smiles here and there, sipped his drink slowly, nodded at stories. He's always been quiet, more of a listener than a talker. I didn't think too much of it at first. I assumed he was just taking it in like he usually did. Later in the evening, we all gathered in the living room. Someone brought up an old story about the bookshelf Daniel had tried assembling years ago. I added my own colorful version, over-the-top reenactment, exaggerated frustration, duct tape and all. People laughed. That contagious, full-body kind of laughter. It snowballed. Friends chimed in with their own jabs, how Daniel always talks to the cat like it understands him, or how he forgets cereal boxes open on the counter. I laughed too. I didn't think twice. I thought it was harmless. He smiled, a thin, almost invisible smile, the kind that says you're trying not to ruin the mood, even if you're quietly slipping further away. I looked at him a few times during the jokes, but I didn't see him. Not really. And then, at some point, I realized he wasn't there anymore. I assumed he'd gone to the kitchen or stepped outside for a breather. The night moved on. Music hummed. Guests wandered between rooms. I never noticed how long it had been. By the time the crowd thinned and people started saying their goodbyes, it hit me. Daniel still hadn't come back. I searched the house, our bedroom, the guest room. Nothing. His coat was gone. His keys, wallet, phone gone too. At first, it didn't feel like panic. Just a strange kind of disorientation. I tried to call him, but it went straight to voicemail. I sat on the edge of the bed, still dressed from the party, makeup smudged, telling myself not to overreact. He just needed space. He'd be back by morning. But he didn't come back. The next day passed in silence. Then the next. On the third night, I came home to find a moving truck parked outside. My heart sank. Inside, it looked like he'd vanished. Drawers half open, hangers bare. His favorite hoodie gone from the hook near the door. Even his chipped mug, the one he refused to let me throw out, was missing. On my nightstand sat a folded piece of paper. His handwriting. No anger. No accusations. Just quiet, painful truth. I'm tired, Leah. Not just from the late nights and the work stress. I'm tired of being the easy target. Tired of the jokes. Tired of feeling small in the place I'm supposed to feel safest. I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but you didn't stop it either. You laughed with them instead of standing beside me. And I realized tonight, I don't belong here. Not anymore. I read it again and again. The words didn't scream. They cut like a whisper too sharp to stop. I couldn't believe how quietly everything fell apart. I called. I texted. I even showed up at his favorite cafe. Nothing. He was just gone. Friends began reaching out awkwardly. One of them mentioned they'd sensed something was off with Daniel that night. Another admitted she'd overheard him mutter as he walked out, "This doesn't feel like my home anymore." That line, that was the one that broke me completely. Because it wasn't about one night. It was everything I hadn't seen, hadn't protected. All the little moments I'd dismissed. All the times he sat quietly on the edges of rooms full of people I loved, and I didn't notice the distance growing. I wrote him a letter, not a text, not an email, a real letter. I poured my heart into it, acknowledging every missed opportunity, every time I should have defended him, stood beside him instead of in front of him. I mailed it and waited. I checked the mailbox every day like it held my fate. What came back weeks later wasn't a response. It was an envelope. Divorce papers. No explanation. No last words. Just silence and an ending I couldn't fight. I signed them on the couch we used to curl up on. The one where we once made plans, dreamed of kids, talked about places we'd go someday. That couch held so much history. Now it only held me. I think about that night more than I should. I hear the laughter. I see the way his face changed, the way I missed it in real time. Now, when I'm in a room full of jokes, I always look around. Not at who's laughing, but at who isn't. Because I'll never forget the man who loved me without fanfare. The man who asked for nothing but kindness. The man who walked away not with a fight, but with a quiet grief I never thought to stop. And I'll always wonder how different things might have been if I had chosen to stand beside him when it mattered most.